Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. So we are reading from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. Translations and purports by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyatya Deshatarine. Okay, so we're starting from Adi-lila Chapter 10, the branches of the Caitanya tree, text 80. Yeah. Kulina Gramavasi Satyaraja Ramananda Yadunatha Purushottam Shankara Vidyananda. Satyaraj, Ramananda, Yadunath, Purushottama, Shankar, and Vidyananda all belong to the 20th branch. They were inhabitants of the village known as Kulina Gram. Text 81. Vaninata Vasu Adi Yata Grami Jana Sabbe Chaitanya Britya Chaitanya Pranadana. All the inhabitants of Kulina Gram village headed by Vaninath Vasu were Kahe Kulina Gramera Yehaya Kukura Seymoramriya Anya Janara Hudura.
Lord said, what to speak of others? Even a dog in the village of Kulina Gram is my dear friend.
You ever have that feeling like some town, like maybe town that you grew up in, or maybe you go to some village in who knows, and you go there and you just when you've been away from that place for a long time and you go back to that place and you're thinking like everything that you see there, even a dog or a cat or whatever, is like very endearing somehow. Okay. Kulina Gramira Bhagya Kahane Nayaya Shukara Charaya Doma Seha Krishna Gaya. Divya? You have it?
It's just I don't have it where it's 9 point what? Sorry, I've been gone for some time.
83.
Sorry, the Wi-Fi just went out. What was it? 9 point.
Chapter 10,
Sorry.
text 83.
Okay.
We can skip you for now. Go ahead.
Okay,
Nika.
sure. Yeah, then I'll do next. Yeah.
No one can describe the fortunate position of Kulina Grama. It is so sublime that even sweepers who tend their hawks there also chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra.
Jai. Seha Krishna Gaya. Yeah, so that's why Lord Chaitanya they chant Hare Krishna. So that's the way to become very dear to the Lord, even if you're a dog. Just chant Hare Krishna. Lord Chaitanya is gonna like you. I mean, of course, he loves all of us, but he especially is favorably disposed towards those who chant their own names. Just like we were at Janaki's wedding over the weekend, and there are a couple of photographers there. Photos, a big group picture with everybody, at least all the like bridesgrooms and bridesmaids and family members. So we were all there and posing, and then he was doing this test and that test, make sure the lighting was right and everyone fit in. And then when it was time for the actual picture to make us, he was very clever to make. And this guy was not a devotee. This is the first time he ever like came in contact with Hare Krishna devotees. It was this young white guy, and then he was just about to take the last picture. He's like, "Okay, everybody, Hare Krishna," and everybody was like, This guy said Hare Krishna.
Natural laugh.
Everybody just gave like the most beautiful, natural, radiant smile. So that's the effect. Text 84. Anupama Vallabha Shri Rupa Sanatana Yetina Shaka Vrikshara Paschime Sarvotama. All right, this next one has a very long purport, so we can break this up. Anyways, do you want to start it, Divya?
Sure, thank you. On the western side of the 43rd, 44th, and 45th branches, Sri Sanatan, Sri Rupa, and Anupama, they were the best of all. Sri Anupama was the father of Srila Jiva Goswami, and younger brother of Sri Sanatan Goswami and Sri Rupa Goswami. His former name was Vallabha, but after Lord Chaitanya met him, he gave him the name Anupama. Because of working in the Muslim government, these three brothers were given the title Malik. Our personal family is connected with the Maliks of Mahatma Gandhi Road in Calcutta, and we often used to visit their Radha Govinda temple. They belong to the same family as we do. Our family Gotra, or original genealogical line, is the Gautama Gotra, or line of disciples of Gautama Muni, and our surname is De. But due to their accepting of posts of zamindars in the Muslim government, they received the title Malik. Similarly, Rupa, Sanatan, and Vallabha were also given the title Malik. Malik means Lord. Just as the English government gives rich and respectable persons the title Lord, so the Muslims give the title Malik to rich, respectable families that have intimate connections with the government. Thus, the title Malik is found not only among the Muslims, but also among the Hindu aristocracy. This title is not restricted to a particular family, but is given to different families and castes. These qualifications for receiving it are wealth and respectability. Should I continue?
Yeah, you can go a bit more.
Sanatan Goswami and Rupa Goswami belonged to the Bharadwaja Gotra, which indicates that they belonged either to the family or disciplic succession of Bharadwaj Muni. As members of the Krishna consciousness movement, we belong to the family or disciplic succession of Saraswati Goswami, and thus we are known as Saraswatas. Obeisances are therefore offered to the spiritual master of Saraswata Deva, or a member of the Saraswata family, Namaste Saraswati Devi, whose mission is to broadcast the cult of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Gauravani Pracharini, and to fight the impersonalists and voidists, Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschata Deshatarini. This was also the occupational duty of Sanatan Goswami, Rupa Goswami, and Anupama Goswami.
Yeah, that was pretty cool how Srila Prabhupada basically included his pranam mantra there in the purport. So yeah, so he's talking about the family, that everybody comes in a gotra, genealogical line, and so sometimes these things change depending on. So Prabhupada is saying that he himself is from the gotra of Gautama Muni, at least his family, like his biological genealogical line was from Gautama Muni. But then because he took initiation from Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, now he says that he is a Sarasvata. That's his gotra, Sarasvata. And that, so he, Namaste Saraswati Deve. And I offer my obeisances to you, who is a member of the Saraswati family. So Prabhupada is saying that we are also Sarasvatas. So if anybody asks you what's your gotra, you can say Sarasvata. Yeah. And that by calling ourselves Sarasvatas, or belonging to the family or disciplic succession of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami, that also defines our mission, which is Gauravani Prachardane, preaching. Gauranga or Chaitanya, Vani means instructions, and Pracharane means preaching. And what else? Nirvishesha Shunyavadi. Shunyavadi means Buddhists. And Paschatya Desha means the Western countries. And Tarani means delivering. So fighting against the impersonalists and voidists and delivering the Western countries. That was Prabhupada's mission. So we have to give special attention to spreading Krishna consciousness in the Western world. And that's why I'm in the USA. So I was living very happily in Vrindavan, Mayapur, and then my spiritual master said, "What are you doing? Our mission is Paschatya Deshatarane. Come to America. Come back to the US and help." Okay. Let's see. Hannah, you have a question? Go ahead, Pragati.
I was just thinking that how would Gotra changes, because I was talking to one of my friend and she has a lot of, like, the devotees we also went there. No, someone in the temple was saying they have their ancestors have done something and then they have to suffer for this. And if we are initiated, we are just so much connected to this higher lineage of Saraswati Devi. Like this is so nice. Like
Yeah.
that we are actually connected with this
Glorious lineage instead of our
but
family line, which may be contaminated with some
wherever we
abominable
belong,
actions, right?
yeah, wherever we belong, if we are initiated, we are at the on right hands.
Yeah. This is our real lineage, the spiritual lineage.
My Gotra has changed from today.
That's it. Okay, so Hannah, do you want to read a little bit?
Yes. The genealogical table of Sanatan Goswami, Rupa Goswami, and Vallabha Goswami can be traced back to the 12th century Shakabda, when a gentleman of the name Sarvagya appeared in a very rich and opulent Brahmana family in the province of Karnataka. He had two sons named Aniruddhara Rupeshwara and Harihara, who were both bereft of their kingdoms and thus obliged to reside in the highlands. The son of Rupeshwara, who was named Padmanabha, moved to a place in Bengal known as Naihati, on the bank of the Ganges. There he had 5 sons, of whom the youngest, Mukunda, had a well-behaved son named Kumara Deva, who was the father of Rupa, Sanatana, and Vallabha. Kumara Deva lived in Fatehabad, an area bordering Bakla Chandra Dweepa in East Bengal, now Bangladesh. The present-day village of Primbug, which lies near Ramshara in the Jessore district of Bangladesh, is said by many to be the site of Kumara Deva's house. Of his many sons, 3 took to the path of Vaishnavism. Later, Sri Vallabha and his elder brothers, Sri Rupa and Sanatana, came from Chandradweep to the village in the Malda district of Bengal known as Ramakeli. It is in this village that Srila Jiva Goswami took birth, accepting Vallabha as his father. Because of engaging in the service of the Muslim government, the 3 brothers received the title Malik. When Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu visited the village of Ramakeli, he met Vallabha there. Later, Sri Rupa Goswami, after meeting Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, resigned from the government service, and when he went to Vrindavan to meet Lord Chaitanya, Vallabha accompanied him. The meeting of Rupa Goswami and Vallabha with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu at Allahabad is described in the Adi-lila Chapter 19. Should I keep going?
We can just pause there for a sec. So we can understand from this that Rupa and Sanatan and Vallabha, the 3 brothers, they were all born actually in Bangladesh. I remember a while back, Mahavishnu Swami, he was preaching in, he preaches a lot in Nepal and that part, right? Eastern India, Bangladesh and Nepal. Anyways, he went to the place of he found the birthplace of Rupa Sanatana Goswami and Anupama Vallabha, and they were working on a project. So he came. I was in London purchasing and purchasing that property and developing, like a a small temple there, or some shrine at least, to commemorate the birthplace of Rupa Sanatan Goswami and Anupam. So yeah, when they were young, they moved to India, proper India, in a place in Bengal known as Ramakeli. So Jiva Goswami was born there. Jiva Goswami was the son of Vallabha or Anupam. He was the nephew of Rupa and Sanatan. He was the younger generation. He was the son of their younger brother. But Rupa and Sanatan never married.
Married?
They never married. As far as I know. I never heard of them being married. But Vallabha married, and he had a son came to be Jiva Goswami. And it was there in Ramakeli that they first met Lord Caitanya. So that was very significant. And Lord Caitanya was on his way to Vrindavan. You at place there? So it's actually.
Are you talking to me?
No, I'm talking to Vrindavan Natadbara.
Your thing cut out. It's cutting out quite a bit today.
Oh, shoot.
Oh yeah, I didn't hear your my name, but I can read, sure. Starting from actually, right?
Yeah.
Actually, it is to be understood from the statement of Sanatan Goswami that Sri Rupa Goswami and Vallabha went to Vrindavan under the instructions of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. First they went to Mathura, where they met a gentleman named Subudhi Roy, who maintained himself by selling dry fuel wood. He was very pleased to meet Sri Rupa Goswami and Anupam, and he showed them the 12 forests of Vrindavan. Thus they lived in Vrindavan for 1 month, and then again went to search for Sanatan Goswami. Following the course of the Ganga, they reached Allahabad, or Prayag Tirtha, but because Sanatan Goswami had come there by a different road, they did not meet him there. And when Sanatan Goswami came to Mathura, he was informed of the visit of Rupa Goswami and Anupam by Subudhi Roy. When Rupa Goswami and Anupam met Chaitanya Mahaprabhu at Benares, they heard about Sanatan Goswami's travels from him, and thus they returned to Bengal, adjusted their affairs with the state, and on the order of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to see the Lord at Jagannath Puri. Shall I go
Makes
on?
it seem so easy, right? Like they went from they went from West Bengal to Vrindavan, and they went back to Bengal, and then they went to Jagannath Puri. But in those days, they were going on foot. Can you imagine, like walk? Like these people fly, or it's like an 18-hour train ride, something. So yeah, that was like a lot of journeying, and so they went, and then they missed him because they went separately. Then they went to Mathura. He had already left Mathura. They missed him, so they went back there, and they kept missing each other. That must have been super frustrating. And they didn't have way to, what do you call it? To
Communicate.
yeah, they didn't have a way to communicate. They didn't have like mobile phones. They didn't have any phones. They didn't have anything. So it was just like you get there and oh, he just left a few days ago. And you're like, he just came all the way here. Okay, go ahead. I'll read a little bit. In the year 1436, Shakabda, AD 1514, the youngest brother Anupam died and went back to Godhead. He went to the abode in the spiritual sky where Sri Ramachandra is situated. He was a Ram Bhakta. At Jagannath Puri, Sri Rupa Goswami informed Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu of this incident. Vallabha was a great devotee of Sri Ramachandra. Therefore, he could not seriously consider the worship of Radha Govinda according to the instructions of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Yet he directly accepted Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as an incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Ramachandra. In the Bhakti Ratnakar, there's the following statement. Vallabha was given the name Anupam by Sri Gaurasundar, but he was always absorbed in the devotional service of Lord Ramachandra. He did not know anyone but Sri Ramachandra, but he knew that Chaitanya Gosai was the same Lord Ramachandra. In the Gorgana Dashdipika 180, Sri Rupa Goswami is described to be the gopi named Sri Rupa Manjari. In the Bhakti Ratnakar, there is a list of the books Sri Rupa Goswami compiled. Of all his books, the following 16 are very popular among Vaishnavas. Hamsaduta, Uddhava Sandash, Krishna Janmatiti Vidhi, Radha Krishna Ganudash Deepika, Brihat Major and Lagu Minor, Stavamala, Vidagda Madhava, Lalita Madhava, Danakili Kaumudi, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. This is the most celebrated book by Sri Rupa Goswami. Ujjvala Nilamani, Akyata Chandrika, Mathura Mahima, Padyavali, Natika Chandrika, and Lagu Bhagavatamrita. Sri Rupa Goswami gave up all family connections, joined the renounced order of life, and divided his money, giving 50% to the Brahmanas and Vaishnavas and 25% to his Kutumba, family members, and keeping 25% for personal emergencies. He met Haridas Thakur in Jagannath Puri, where he also met Lord Caitanya and his other associates. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to praise the handwriting of Rupa Goswami. Srila Rupa Goswami could compose verses according to the desires of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and by his direction he wrote 2 books named Lalita Madhava and Vidagda Madhava. Lord Chaitanya desired the 2 brothers, Sanatana Goswami and Rupa Goswami, to publish many books in support of the Vaishnava religion. When Sanatana Goswami met Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Lord advised him also to go to Vrindavan. You want to read there, Kritika?
Yeah. Which verse are we on?
It's a big purport.
Oh, which
Where?
verse?
It's purport to verse number 84.
84? Okay.
We're somewhere about 2/3 of the way through.
Okay. Sri Sanatana Goswami is described in the Gaur Ganadesh Deepika 181. He was formerly known as Rati Manjari or sometimes Lavanga Manjari. In the Bhakti Ratnakara, it is stated that his spiritual master Vidya Vachaspati sometimes stayed in the village of Ramakeli, and Sanatana Goswami studied all the Vedic literatures from him. He was so devoted to his spiritual master that this cannot be described. According to the Vedic system, if someone sees a Muslim, he must perform rituals to atone for the meeting. Sanatana Goswami always associated with Muslim kings. Not giving much attention to the Vedic injunctions, he used to visit the houses of Muslim kings, and thus he considered himself to have been converted into a Muslim. He was therefore always very humble and meek. When Sanatana Goswami presented himself before Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he said, I am always in association with lower class people, and my behavior is therefore very abominable. He actually belonged to the respectable Brahmana family, but because he considered his behavior to be abominable, he did not try to place himself among the Brahmanas, but always remain among people of the lower caste. He wrote the Hari Bhakti Vilas and Vaishnava Toshani, which is a commentary on the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. In the year 1476, Sakabda, he completed the Brihad Vaishnava Toshani commentary on Srimad Bhagavatam. In the year 1504, Shakabda, Srila Jiva Goswami published an edited version of the Brihad Vaishnava Toshani named Laghu Toshani. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu taught his principles through 4 chief followers. Among them, Ramananda Rai is exceptional, for through him the Lord taught how a devotee can completely vanquish the power of Cupid. By Cupid's power, as soon as one sees a beautiful woman, he is conquered by her beauty. Sri Ramananda Rai, however, vanquished Cupid's pride. Indeed, while rehearsing the Jagannath Vallabha Natak, he personally directed extremely beautiful young girls in dancing, but he was never affected by their youthful beauty. Sri Ramananda Rai personally bathed these girls, touching them and washing them with their own hands, yet he remained calm and passionless, as a great devotee should be. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu certified that this was possible only for Ramananda Rai. Similarly, Damodar Pandit was notable for his objectivity as a critic. He did not even spare Chaitanya Mahaprabhu from his criticism. This also cannot be imitated by anyone else. Haridas Thakur is exceptional for his forbearance because although he was beaten with canes in 22 marketplaces, he was nevertheless tolerant. Similarly, Sri Sanatan Goswami, although he belonged to a most respectable Brahmana family, was exceptional for his humility and meekness. In the Adi-lila Chapter 19, the device adopted by Sanatan Goswami to get free from government service is described. He served a notice of sickness to the Nawab.
the Muslim governor, but actually he was studying Srimad Bhagavatam with Brahmanas at home. The Nawab received information of this through a royal physician, and he immediately went to see Sanatan Goswami to discover his intentions. The Nawab requested Sanatan to occupy him on an expedition to Orissa, but when Sanatan Goswami refused, the Nawab ordered that he be imprisoned. When Rupa Goswami left home, he wrote a note for Sanatan Goswami informing him of some money that he had entrusted to a local grocer. Sanatan Goswami took advantage of this money to bribe the jail keeper and get free from detention. Then he left for Banaras to meet Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, bringing with him only one servant whose name was Ishan. On the way, they stopped at a sarai or hotel, and when the hotel keeper found out that Ishan had some gold coins with him, he planned to kill both Sanatan Goswami and Ishan to take away the coins. Later, Sanatan Goswami saw that although the hotel keeper did not know them, he was being specially attentive to their comfort. Therefore, he concluded that Ishan was secretly carrying some money and that the hotel keeper was aware of this and therefore planned to kill them for it. Upon being questioned by Sanatan Goswami, Ishan admitted that he indeed had money with him, and immediately Sanatan Goswami took the money and gave it to the hotel keeper, requesting him to help them get through the jungle. Thus, with the help of the hotel keeper, who was also the chief of the thieves of that territory, Sanatan Goswami crossed over the Hazipur mountains, which are presently known as Hazaribagh. He then met his brother-in-law Srikanta, who requested that he stay with him. Sanatan Goswami refused, but before they parted, Srikanta gave him a valuable blanket. Somehow or other, Sanatan Goswami reached Varanasi and met Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu at the house of Chandrasekhar. By the order of Lord, Sanatan Goswami was cleanly shaved and his dress changed to that of a mendicant or Babaji. He put on old garments of Tapan Mishras and took prasadam at the house of a Maharashtrian Brahmin. Then, in discourses with Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Lord himself explained everything about devotional service to Sanatan Goswami. He advised Sanatan Goswami to write books on devotional service, including a book of directions for Vaishnava activities and to excavate the lost places of pilgrimage in Vrindavan. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave him his blessings to do all his work and also explained to Sanatan Goswami the import of the Atma Rama verse from the 61 different angles of vision. Sanatan Goswami went to Vrindavan by the main road, and when he reached Mathura, he met Subudhi Rai. Then he returned to Jagannath Puri through Jharkhanda, the Madhya Pradesh jungle. At Jagannath Puri, he decided to give up his body by falling down beneath a wheel of the Jagannath Rath, but Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saved him. Then Sanatan Goswami met Haridas Thakur and heard about the disappearance of Anupama. Sanatan Goswami later described the glories of Haridas Thakur. Sanatan observed the etiquette of Jagannath's temple by going along the beach to visit Lord Chaitanya, although it was extremely hot due to the sun. He requested Jagadananda Pandit to give him permission to return to Vrindavan. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu praised the character of Sanatan Goswami and he embraced Sanatan, accepting his body as spiritual. Sanatan Goswami was ordered by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to live at Jagannath Puri for 1 year. When he returned to Vrindavan after that time, he again met Rupa Goswami, and both brothers remained in Vrindavan to execute the orders of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. The place where Sri Rupa Goswami and Sanatan Goswami formerly lived have now become a place of pilgrimage. It is generally known as Gupta Vrindavan or Hidden Vrindavan and is situated about 8 miles south of English Bazaar. There are the following places are still visited. 1. The temple of Sri Madan Mohan deity. 2. The Keli Kadamba tree under which Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu met Sanatan Goswami at night. And 3. Rupa Sagar, a large pond excavated by Sri Rupa Goswami. A society named Ramakeli Samskara Samiti was established in 1924 to repair the temple and renovate the pond.
Wow, you're
Right.
on a roll there, Katika. I love reading. Prabhupada got fired up here to give a lot of details about Rupa and Sanatan Goswami. And he also threw Ramananda Roy in there because he, not in this verse, but a few verses back, it said Ramananda. So good. All these things will be described in more detail later. Hannah.
There was so much there. After every paragraph, I was like, wait. I have a couple of questions. The first is about Ramananda Roy.
Yeah.
Because I heard his poetry, and he's like pure devotee. But then we're hearing that, like, whenever they were talking about, like, he was rehearsing for the Jagannatha Vallabha Natika, that he was directing young girls. I was like, okay. But then it said that he bathed them, touching them and washed them with his own hands. And I was like, hello, Prabhupada Priya.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, they were playing the parts of gopis or whatever in the drama, and he was seeing them like that. He wasn't seeing them as like, girls of this world with material bodies. And so he was, his whole thing was that he wanted them to look very beautiful and also able to play their parts very nicely. So he was actually like giving them a massage with oil and things in order to, so that that their muscles and everything would be good. And yeah, so, but the whole point is that he wasn't a Caritamrita, and basically Prabhupada tells us, don't try this at home. That only Ramananda Roy can do this. No one can imitate Ramananda Roy in this kind of activity or service. But Ramananda Roy was not on the bodily concept of life. In his eternal constitutional position, he is either Lalita or Vishaka. Saki is one of Radharani's friends. So he's very, very intimate, one of the most intimate friends of Srimati Radharani. And sometimes they will bathe and dress Srimati Radharani and massage her body with oil and dress her and all these things. So he was probably just in that mood. He wasn't even identifying as male. He was identifying probably as, his eternal swarup being female. And that service of bathing and dressing and massaging Radharani with oil, and then he's just doing it for those girls who are playing the part of Radharani.
It froze, so I don't know if you said something after that, but okay. I do have one more question. And it's about it says, according to the Vedic system, if someone sees a Muslim, he must perform rituals to atone for the meeting. Can you explain why?
Oh, yeah. I mean, Hannah's getting worried because she has a Muslim husband.
No.
His Muslim family. I mean, generally, like the Brahmins, the Vedic culture there was so strict that not necessarily just Muslims, but if you would see any materialistic person, if you would like make eye contact with a materialistic person, you would have to purify yourself, like look at the sun or go jump in the Ganga or something like that. But Caitanya would sometimes do that. If he would see a Mayavadi, he would go jump in the Ganga. So yeah, it just goes to show how the influence of materialistic people and people who are sinful, who eat meat and whatever, that there's an influence, there's some contaminating influence, and people were very sensitive to these influences in those days. I mean, nowadays we're just so dull that we don't even feel anything. But in those days they were so sensitive that if somebody's energy was very nasty or negative or demoniac, then they would actually feel contaminated. They would feel dirty by being with that person, and they would have to want to do something to purify themselves. So yeah. Kritika always comes home from work, and she's a dentist, so she has to deal with all these people. She always comes home from work feeling like, oh my God, I can't deal with the energy of all those people. They're so contaminated.
Now it makes sense that okay, Muslim, and because they might have a nasty energy and different vibe, and
because in those days even there was some antagonism, right, towards anyone who is not Muslim. So they might have been, looking in a bad mood towards somebody, or
I was thinking like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is himself like Krishna. He don't need any purification.
Yeah, he didn't need to jump in the gun. It's not like he's contaminatable.
Teachers
Contaminable, if that's a word.
he was doing.
Just show us the
Mm.
example. Try to keep ourselves pure. Yeah, association is very strong. And we're hearing it, yeah, Sanatana Goswami is feeling like, you know, he basically became a Muslim from associating with Muslims, and he didn't try to present himself as a Brahmin, even though he was born in a Brahmin family, because he basically judged himself by his association. And Lord Chaitanya talks about that. He says that the characteristic of a Vaishnava is that the Vaishnava gives up asat sanga tyag e Vaishnava achar. Says the Vaishnava behavior, Vaishnava achar, the characteristic behavior of a Vaishnava is asat sanga tyag, that he. So yeah, we hear a lot about that in Nectar of Instruction also, right?
Yeah.
It's an important principle.
Sometimes like the case with like if we take an example of Kritika as well, it's sometimes unavoidable to to avoid that
Yeah.
association. And internally we try that okay, we need to be focused and not distracted, but still it
You have to
still
keep chanting. Yeah, I just have to keep chanting. So chant the holy names. Yeah. That's the best thing. It's a more powerful purifier than the sun or the Ganga or anything else. If we just chant. Hannah, something else?
Yeah, on the holy name, and we heard yesterday that it can counteract poisonous venom. So
There we go.
super cool. It's a really hard line to tiptoe sometimes when we hear things like this, because it makes so much sense. I've had that experience where it's like, okay, I want to be careful not to spend too much time around this person or that person because I do feel that influence. But then at the same time, we're told that like Krishna is seated in the heart of everyone, and we're supposed to be, we're supposed to have equal vision. It's very hard to tiptoe this line of making distinctions and also having equal vision simultaneously.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a really good point. Yeah, so we should see that everyone's a spirit soul, everyone's very dear to Krishna, everyone deep down is a devotee, the super soul is also there in the heart, and everything's hunky-dory. But then on top of all that, there's so many anarthas, so many layers of conditioning. And unfortunately, people don't act according to who they are, they act according to their conditioning. And we are also not totally pure, so we also get influenced by their conditioning, and we can become conditioned by their conditioning. And we don't want to get more conditioning, we want to get we want to get deconditioned. We don't want to get reconditioned, we want to get deconditioned. So yeah, so we can have that spiritual vision, but then we also need to be practical. That yes, they're souls, and yes, Paramatma is there, but also they have conditioning, and unfortunately they're identifying more with their conditioning than they are with their actual spiritual identity. So just need to give them some time and space and keep a little distance. Yes.
I heard this in one lecture or something that they say you have to see everyone as Krishna, like for example, your wife, your mother, your sister, everyone you see the same, like, but the behavior you do is of course different as per your relationship because you cannot behave with your mother how you will behave with your wife.
Yeah.
So you see everyone, but behave as per your relationship. And
Yeah, that's good.
circumstance.
Good example. Okay, Hannah?
Yes, thank you. That was great.
All right, let us proceed then. Text 85. Is this another long purport? It sure is. Oh, wait, no, that's the one we just read. Is it? Oh,
No, this one is very long too.
it's another long purport. Prabhupada got fired up. Okay, text 85. Chandra Madhye Rupa Sanatana Bada Shaka Anupama Jiva Rajendradi Upashaka Who's reading? No, Pragati. Oh, Pragati?
Among these branches, Rup and Sanatan were principal. Anupama, Jiva Goswami, and others, headed by Rajendra, were their sub-branches. Purport. In the Gaur Gunadesh Tipika 195, it is said that Srila Jiva Goswami was formerly Vilas Manjari, Gopi. From his very childhood, Jiva Goswami was greatly fond of Srimad Bhagavatam. He later came to Navdeep to study Sanskrit, and following in the footsteps of Sri Nityananda Prabhu, he circumambulated the entire Navadvip Dham. After visiting Navadvip Dham, he went to Banaras to study Sanskrit under Madhusudana Vachaspati. And after finishing his studies in Banaras, he went to Vrindavan and took shelter of his uncles, Sri Rup and Sanatan. This is described in the Bhakti Ratnakar. As far as our information goes, Srila Jiva Goswami composed and edited at least 25 books. They are all very much celebrated and they are listed as follows. Harinamrita, Harinamamrita, Vyakran, Sutra Malika, Dhatu Shringra, Krishnacha Dipika, Gopal Virudhavali, Rasamrit Shesha, Sri Madhav Mahotsav, Sri Sankalpa Kalpa Vriksha, Bhavartha Shukha Champu, Gopal Tapani Tika, a commentary on the Brahma Samhita, a commentary on the Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu, a commentary on the Ujjwal Nilamani, a commentary on the Yogashar Sattva, a commentary on Gayatri Mantra as described in Agni Puran, a description of the Lord's lotus feet derived from the Padma Puran, a description of the lotus feet of Srimati Radharani, Gopal Champu in two parts, and 1925. 7. Sandarbhas, the Karma Tattva, Bhagavat, Paramatma, Krishna Bhakti, and Preeti Sandarbha. After the disappearance of Srila Rupa Goswami and Sanatan Goswami in Vrindavan, Srila Jiva Goswami became the Acharya of all the Vaishnavas in Bengal, Orissa, and the rest of the world. And it is he who used to guide them in their devotion service. In Vrindavan, he established the Radha Damodar temple, where after retirement he had the opportunity to live. After retirement,
He's talking about himself.
Where after retirement, we had the opportunity to live from 1962 until 1965, when we decided to come to the United States of America. When Jiva Goswami was still present, Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami compiled his famous Caitanya Caritamrita. Later, Srila Jiva Goswami inspired Srinivas Acharya, Narottam Das Thakur, and Dukhi Krishna Das to preach Krishna consciousness in Bengal. Jiva Goswami was informed that all the manuscripts that had been collected from Vrindavan and sent to Bengal for preaching purposes were plundered near Vishnupura in Bengal. But later he received the information that the books had been recovered. Sri Jiva Goswami awarded the designation a disciple of Srinivas Acharya's, and to Ramachandra's younger brother Govinda. While Jiva Goswami was alive, Srimati Janava Devi, the pleasure potency of Sri Nityananda Prabhu, went to Vrindavan with a few devotees. Jiva Goswami was very kind to the Gaudiya Vaishnavas, the Vaishnavas from Bengal. Whoever went to Vrindavan, he provided with a residence and prasadam. His disciples Krishna Das Adhikari listed all the books of the Goswamis in his diary.
So, you know the story about Jiva Goswami sending Srinivas Acharya, Narottam Das Thakur, and Dukhi Krishna Das to Bengal? No? So they were all there. Narottam Das Thakur went to Vrindavan and he got initiated by Lokanath Goswami. But he was studying under Jiva Goswami. And also Srinivas Acharya was also studying under Jiva Goswami. And then this Dukhi Krishna Das, he got the name of Shyamananda. There's a whole story about that. Anyways, so they were all studying together under Jiva Goswami. And from Jiva Goswami was teaching them the Shastras. And then when they finished their studies, by that time, Rupa Goswami, well, this was after Rupa and Sanatana Goswami had already left this world, but they had written so many books in Vrindavan. And then Jiva Goswami thought, well, all the knowledge is here. All the Goswami's books were written here in Vrindavan, and the Brajvasis are enjoying them. But there's so many followers of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Bengal, and they're not getting these teachings of Lord Chaitanya that the Goswamis had passed on. So he said, you three, you get the bullock cart and load it up with the books. So they had people write out copies, right? We were talking yesterday about how people would copy the books. So they got people to make copies of the books, handwriting copies of the books. And they loaded up the bullock cart, and then they started journeying back to Bengal to distribute the books over there. So these are the original book distributors of Gaudiya Vaishnava tradition. So what happened was they were traveling, and it took them many days, and they had to camp out and things on the way. So they were already in Bengal, so they were almost there, and they were in a town called Vishnupur, kind of on the outskirts of the town. And there was this king, and he had an astrologer. And the astrologer told him, what was his name? His name was something like Birhambir. Yeah, I think his name was Birhambir, King Birhambir. He had this astrologer who told him, oh, there are some sadhus passing through, and they have a lot of wealth. They have a lot of wealth. Some great treasures.
It is a funny thing. Sadhu is passing with a lot of wealth.
Yeah. Anyways, there's some people traveling through, they have like a whole load of very valuable wealth. So then the king sent his men there to go and steal everything. So they went, and the three young sadhus, they were sleeping in tents nearby. A cart was there, and they basically I don't know if they took the whole cart or they took the boxes of books out, but they looted the whole thing. So then they woke up in the morning, and they're like, oh my God, the books are gone, now what? So somehow the word got back. People must have been passing through, and they said, you're going to Vrindavan, tell Jiva Goswami that the books got stolen. We don't know what to do, whether we should come back or go forward or just stay here till we find them, or how we're going to find them. Anyways, I can't remember how I think they went into the town, and then they were asking. I can't remember how this happened.
I think this happened that they heard that Raja, the king got something very valuable or something, and then they figured out, it has with the king.
The people were talking.
Yeah, and then they went to the king.
People were gossiping. Like, oh. And then while they were there, actually, there was this person that we heard about the other day, some verses ago, named Devananda Pandit, and he was a professional reciter of Srimad Bhagavatam, but he was an impersonalist. So they went to the King Birhambir's place, and they happened to, because they were, devotees, so they heard there was a Bhagavatam Katha going on. So they went there, and they listened, and they were sitting there, and they were like going crazy, like they couldn't tolerate what he was saying because his explanations were like impersonal. And then finally Srinivasacharya was just like, enough of this. And then he challenged his point, and he basically defeated him. So then Devananda Pandit had to surrender. Hare Krishna, Lord. Devananda Pandit had to surrender, and he ended up taking shelter. Was that this Devananda was so impressed by Srinivasacharya that he took him to the king. He took him to meet the king. And then when he was talking to the king, then Srinivasacharya started preaching to this king like anything. And then the king became a Vaishnava. And then he said, oh, by the way, you may be interested in some books that I have that are all about this.
Yeah, and no one can understand those books. I think that was also no one can understand that.
Yeah, they tried to read the books, and they couldn't understand it because they were all like, rascals and meat eaters and thieves and crooks and all that. So they didn't have anyway, somehow we got these books, and they seem to be like something that you'd be interested in. Why don't you just take them? So then they were so happy. They went there, and all the books were there, and all in good shape. And so he just thanked him. But then King Birhambir they took the books and they went on their way. But King Birhambir, he actually became like a really strong devotee, and he made everybody in the kingdom devotees, so that Vishnupur became the first Vaishnav city. And I think to this day, it's still a Vaishnav city.
Everyone Vaishnavs?
Yeah. I think he passed a law. So he was that kind of, he was he was a tyrant. He was a bad tyrant who like stole everything, but also when he became a Vaishnava, he became a good tyrant. He was this tyrannical nature in Krishna's service. And he's like, all right, new edicts, everybody in my kingdom needs to chant Hare Krishna and worship Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So, yeah, it's a good story.
I like this story.
I was thinking that Narottam Das and everyone, they're so highly elevated people, and still when the book's told, they were like, they went to their
I felt the same thing.
spiritual master, and they, like, even they are elevated.
Now what? Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
even that I was imagining the same situation. Like, I mean, they shouldn't have actually like gotten like
Yeah,
they were worried because yeah, it's all taken care of. Yeah, I thought the same thing. Yeah.
Yeah, they could have waited a little bit before telling Jiva Goswami, just so Jiva Goswami wouldn't get worried, right? But yeah. Okay, so let's continue. Where are we? The Sahaji is talking about Jiva Goswami.
Yeah.
All right. Who wants to read there? Nikesh?
Okay. The Sahajiyas level 3 accusations against Srila Jiva Goswami. This is certainly not congenial for the execution of devotional service. The first accusation concerns a materialist who was very proud of his reputation as a great Sanskrit scholar and approached Sri Rupa and Sanatana to argue with them about the revealed scriptures. Srila Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami, not wanting to waste their time, gave him a written statement that he had defeated them in a debate on the revealed scriptures. Taking this paper, the scholar approached Jiva Goswami for a similar certificate of defeat, but Jiva Goswami did not agree to give him one. On the contrary, he argued with him regarding the scriptures and defeated him. Certainly, it was right for Jiva Goswami to stop such a dishonest scholar from advertising that he had defeated Srila Rupa Goswami and Sanatan Goswami, but due to their illiteracy, the Sahajiyas class referred to this incident to accuse Srila Jiva Goswami of deviating from the principle of humility. They do not know, however, that humility and meekness are appropriate when one's own honor is insulted, but not when Lord Vishnu or the Acharyas are blasphemed. In such cases, one should not be humble and meek, but must act. One should follow the example given by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Lord Chaitanya says in his Sistastaka 3, Tranadapi Sunichena Tarur Iva Saisnuna Amanina Manadena Kritanya Sadari. One should chant the holy name of the Lord in a humble state of mind, thinking himself lower than the straw in the street. One should be more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, and should be ready to offer all respect to others. In such a state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly. Nevertheless, when the Lord was informed that Nityananda Prabhu was injured by Jagai and Madai, he immediately went to the spot, angry like fire, wanting to kill them. Thus, Lord Chaitanya has explained his verse by the example of his own behavior. One should tolerate insults against oneself, but when there is blasphemy committed against superiors, such as other Vaishnavas, one should be neither humble nor meek. One must take proper steps to counteract such blasphemy. This is the duty of a servant of a guru and Vaishnavas. Anyone who understands the principle of eternal servitude to the Guru and Vaishnavas will appreciate the action of Sri Jiva Goswami in connection with the so-called scholar's victory over his gurus, Srila Rupa and Srila Sanatana Goswami. Another
Pause
story.
there.
Sorry.
Yeah, so these they criticized Jiva Goswami for not being humble because this puffed up scholar came along and he was just trying to get fame as a scholar. So he was going around and confronting all of the scholars in the land and challenging them to debates. And then he would try to defeat them in debate. And then when he had defeated them, he would force them to sign a paper saying that they had been defeated. That way he was going around saying, look at all the people that I defeated. So then he went to, he was just basically glorifying himself. So then, yeah, speaking of not being humble. Anyways, so he goes to Rupa and Sanatana Goswami, who are great scholars who could have easily defeated this puffed up guy. But they just took one look at this guy and they're like, we got better things to do than waste our time arguing with him. Like, we're not even going to give him the time of day. So they said, you know, we've got things to do. They said, okay, well, if you don't want to debate with me, then it's what do you call it when you lose the game by not showing up? Forfeit.
Forfeit?
Then it's like automatic forfeit. So you have to sign here. Yeah. So then they said, oh, you just want us to sign a paper and then you'll go away? We'll sign. So they both signed their name there saying that they'd been defeated. And then he went on his way very happy and Rupa and Sanatana went very happily back to their work without wasting 30 seconds. But then they went next to Jiva Goswami, who was the nephew of Rupa and Sanatana. And Rupa and Sanatana for him were like gurus, you know, they were very highly, he really looked at them with a lot of respect and so forth. So then he said, hey, look, I just defeated your uncles and you're next. So he challenged Jiva Goswami and Jiva Goswami said, you defeated my uncles? Impossible. And then he showed him, he said, just look, their names are here. And he said, I don't believe that. Like, okay, I can understand that they just didn't want to waste their time with you, but I'm going to I'm at a loss for words, but I'm going to restore the honor of our family, basically of my uncles by defeating you, good and proper. And everybody will know that if I, the younger one, was able to defeat you, then certainly they would have been able to defeat you. So then he had a debate, and of course he defeated him. And then afterwards, people criticized Jiva Goswami that, oh, Rupa and Sanatana were so humble, but you weren't humble because you wanted to prove yourself to this person. But the point is, Jiva Goswami didn't want to prove himself. Yeah. He wanted to defend his uncles. So then Prabhupada's making the point that if somebody, you know, insults us or something, then, you know, we can just take it and be humble. But if somebody blasphemes somebody else, then that's not a time for humility. Then we need to stand up to protect the other person and defend the other person and make sure that they're not, you know, that we can't just stand silently by while another person is being insulted or mistreated.
Question regarding this.
Yeah.
If we feel like the other person is kind of like, let's say the other person is stupid, and you know that, like, okay, they're gonna say whatever, but you're still gonna be arguing with them? It's like, I mean, if you know they're stupid, like what the Rupa and Sanatana did, like they knew like he's like that. So like, why to waste your time? So my question is, if they still insult and you know like, okay, that person is a fool. So whatever he's gonna say doesn't make any sense anyway. So it's like, would you still?
Well, Jiva Goswami was thinking that after, you know, if he signs it, then other people are going to go. He's going to go to other people, and then other people are going to be like, "Oh, dang, you defeated Rupa, Sanatana, and Jiva." You know, like it would be a bad reflection on them, and then people would look down on Rupa and Sanatana Goswami. Information, basically. Okay, let's finish this purport.
Okay.
I think I'm just going to read. Another story fabricated to defame Srila Jiva Goswami states that when Srila Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami showed him the newly completed manuscript of Sri Caitanya Charitamrita, Jiva Goswami thought it would hamper his reputation as a big scholar and therefore threw it into a well. What the heck? Srila Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami was greatly shocked according to this story, and he died immediately.
That's obviously not a true story. Fortunately, a copy of the manuscript of Sri Caitanya Charitamrita had been kept by a person named Mukunda, and therefore later it was possible to publish the book. This story is another ignominious, is that how you say it? Ignominious example of blasphemy against the Guru and Vaishnava. Such a story should never be accepted as authoritative. According to another accusation, Srila Jiva Goswami did not approve of the principles of the Parakiya Ras of Rajdam and therefore supported Swakiya Ras, showing that Radha and Krishna are eternally married. Actually, when Jiva Goswami was alive, some of his followers disliked the Parakiya Rasa of the gopis. Therefore, Srila Jiva Goswami, for their spiritual benefit, supported Swakiya Ras, where he could understand that Sahajiyas would otherwise exploit the Parakiya Ras as they are actually doing at the present time. Unfortunately, in Vrindavan and Navadvip, it has become fashionable among Sahajiyas in their debauchery to find an unmarried sexual rasa. Foreseeing that Srila Jiva Goswami supported Swakiya Ras, and later all the Vaishnavacharyas also approved of it. Srila Jiva Goswami was never opposed to the transcendental Parakiya Ras, nor has any other Vaishnava disapproved of it. Srila Jiva Goswami strictly followed his predecessor gurus and Vaishnavas, Srila Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami, and Srila Krishnas Kaviraj Goswami accepted him as one of his instructor gurus. Oh my God, poor Jiva Goswami. Just goes to show, right? If people criticize us, don't be surprised they criticized even Jiva Goswami and made up bogus stories just to blaspheme him. Or they misunderstood his intentions. So, yeah, some scholars, they say, oh, I remember reading that too. Someone was saying, oh, Jiva Goswami, he was saying that Swakiya Ras is better than Parakiya. Parakiya Ras means like Radha and Krishna's relationship, that they're not married. And then Krishna in Dwarka, he marries his queens, right? Like Rukmini and Satyabhama. So they're criticizing Jiva Goswami for saying that Krishna's relationships with his queens is higher than Krishna's relationships with the Radharani and the gopis of Vrindavan, which is not true. So they're saying that that's like a theological mistake that Jiva Goswami made. So then Jiva Goswami is saying, oh, the only reason I said that is because if I say you guys are so mundane that if we glorify Parakiya Ras, you're going to go get yourselves a girlfriend and have illicit sex. So better we glorify Swakiya, married relationship, and then, hopefully you'll be responsible and get married. Yeah. And then this other thing is just absolutely ludicrous about Jiva Goswami throwing Caitanya Charitamrita into the well because he thought it wasn't scholarly enough for him. That's just really dark. That's just really offensive to all parties concerned. Okay, but that's what happens in Kali Yuga, right? Is that there's a tendency to want to defame others, who, especially people who are, reputable scholars or leaders. That's kind of like goes with the territory. So even Jiva Goswami had to face that. All right. Caitanya Charitamrita ki jai. Srila Krishnas Kaviraj Goswami ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Oh, Premanandi.
Hey, ki jai.
So decorating the card.
You're there.
Yeah, they're down there. Oh, got so cold. All of a sudden.
Oops.
Wait.